Hello, hello, my friends, and welcome to Sports Insiders The Spin. I'm Ali Melendez, and we made it, everyone. Super Bowl week is finally here, so set up the big screen, grab all those yummy party snacks, and fill out your pools, because it is time for the Chiefs and Eagles, baby. It's Super Bowl 59 this Sunday. And in just a minute, the guys will be along one final time for this NFL season to break down the big game. But first, I gotta take a quick second to say thank you to our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline has provided all the odds all year long, and of course, they are the world's most trusted sports betting platform and a number one source for everything football. So thank you so much, BetOnline. We love you guys. And remember that whatever you need for this Sunday's Super Bowl, chances are that BetOnline has it. So head on over and get in on the action today. All right, people, for the final time this year, I welcome in the very best of the best, our guys, Drew Butler, Anthony Becht, and Jonathan Casillas. What's up, guys?
Thanks so much, Ali. That's right. We have made it. It's the end of the NFL season, and it leads us to Super Bowl 59 featuring, yeah, you know it, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, taking place in New Orleans, Louisiana at the Superdome Sunday, 6:30 kickoff Eastern Time. Drew Butler here, joined alongside, as always, by my guys Anthony Becht and Jonathan Casillas. And guys, what a matchup it is. A rematch of the Super Bowl from just a couple of years ago that produced a very exciting game. And leading in to this rendition of the Super Bowl 59, to be exact, the Kansas City Chiefs right now a 1.5-point favorite. The total sits at 49 points. Anthony, this one's going to be awesome. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is going to be a really good matchup, and this is going to test a lot of the strengths of both teams. And when I talk about the Chiefs, I think we've all seen the Spagnuolo effect over the last couple of years, in particular 2 weeks ago in the Bills game, coming up big on that last play, 4th and 5. But here's a different kind of, I should say, system that he's going against that necessarily maybe takes a little bit out of what Spags is great at. This is a team that runs the ball very effectively. They have an enormous, strong, physical offensive line that really has manhandled everybody across the league. And I think when you're talking about an aggressive coordinator that likes to do some things and shake it up, this really nullifies a lot of those when you have a back like Saquon Barkley and a quarterback, quite frankly, that can pull a ball out at any point. What the challenge brings is, when do you actually heat them up? When do you actually bring more players at the line of scrimmage? Because Jonathan knows if you don't dial it up perfectly and they gash you, doesn't leave a lot of guys if the running back gets past the line of scrimmage. And now all of a sudden you got the best in the business right now taking it to the house. And then you look at from a passing standpoint, everybody kind of nullified Jalen Hurts as a guy that, hey, hasn't had to do it with his arm, hasn't had to get lean on for the passing game. And then he goes out, and does a great job and throws some dimes in the NFC Championship game that really were strategic on them being complete balanced offense. So a lot of challenges there. On the other side, when you talk about the Eagles, yes, their defense is really good, but you got to deal with Patrick Mahomes. And he's just a problem for everybody. He's been in these moments. I know that when you talk about the mesh between him and Andy Reid, and of course, Travis Kelce comes into a big play. Not huge numbers in the last game in the AFC Championship, but when you look at him moving forward, tight ends are going to come up big, I think, and personally for me in this game for both teams, because they both have problems covering the tight end. But now you have a quarterback that, can obviously, with outside the framework of the football play, can get a ball to a guy like him, and they're just always on the same page. Puts a lot of stress on defenses. It's going to put a lot of stress, I think, on Philly. And, of course, getting that pressure and those sacks. I think that one thing, guys, that I look at this game, you look at Patrick Mahomes in the first 7, I think, games of the season, he had a turnover. Yeah. That made him really vulnerable throughout the year. The last 6 games, guess how many? 0 turnovers. They got to find a way to force one. If they can force one, it gives them a shot to kind of take that advantage. If they don't force any at all and they don't make it difficult for them, guys, it's going to be tough for the Eagles. But I think it's going to be a great matchup.
I agree, man. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Look, they're loaded. When you look at the roster, they can match up to anybody, especially in the NFC. Before the Lions got hurt on defense, I think they kind of was the run of the mill of the talent. But when you look at this Philadelphia Eagles team from basically two Pro Bowl wide receivers, one of the greatest running backs to ever bless the field, and you got to give him that, going over 2,000 yards for Saquon. Jalen Hurts, right? He is the quarterback that was on the other side of the first pair of black quarterbacks to play in the Super Bowl. He's doing it again with his old dance mate, Patrick Mahomes. So he's a guy that has experience, and I don't like that he's getting so much negativity towards him. And I understand the numbers, right? 40 yards a game in the playoffs for both of the top wide receivers. Dallas Goedert has emerged as a guy for him, especially in the playoffs. And I'm with you, Anthony. These tight ends are going to be very valuable in this game. And I think you might want to, if Dallas Goedert has some odds, we might want to talk about that later on, right, guys? I think you got the best team in the league roster-wise in the Philadelphia Eagles. When you go man for man, you look at their young, talented defense. You look at Quinyon Mitchell and what he's doing as a rookie. Those pass rushers always getting to the quarterback. I don't think you can overlook them as one of the most, if not the most talented team in the league. And on the other side, you got the best coach in the league in Andy Reid, the best defensive coordinator possibly in NFL history in Steve Spagnuolo, and then Patrick Mahomes. As of right now, he's in the conversation as the GOAT. And I thought that there was no one that was going to be even considered to be in that conversation for another 8 to 10 years after Tom Brady retired, because I thought that you couldn't do what he did in his career. But Patrick Mahomes he's chasing after something that Tom Brady never did. Yes, Tom Brady was basically a part of 2 separate dynasties, but not 3 straight. And that's what the Chiefs are after. I think viewership is going to be up. Taylor Swift is going to be in the building. So they're going to be watching. I'm very excited for this game because you look at the AFC, right? You look at Lamar Jackson, you look at Josh Allen. These guys are chasing Patrick Mahomes, and they are falling short every single year. But you know what? On the other side of it, Jalen Hurts has been a great representation from the NFC. The Eagles have been one of those dominant teams on that side of the league for a long time, and it's led by him. Saquon's a new piece. Sirianni's been there. You have to give him credit. And then people are not giving, I think, Philadelphia enough credit because they want to just talk about Saquon, but I think it's a lot bigger than Saquon. Yes, I think when you think about the game, if the Chiefs do a good job against Saquon, I think they have, the right of way to win the game, right? It's not going to be an easy way. Any way it goes, it's going to be a tough game, a back and forth type of game. I think the key is what Saquon does on the ground. If they can keep him under 100 yards, the Chiefs, like they've done in 18 straight playoff games, they've never had a 100-yard rusher against them. But Saquon is averaging 147 yards on the ground in the playoffs. Something has to break there. I think you want to pay attention to that and how that goes as the game goes on. I don't want Saquon getting 30 carries for the Eagles to have success. I think the number is low 20s. That means that the Chiefs, defense, Spagnuolo, they're going to load the box. You have to do that against them. But that increased the chances of those 20, 30-yard runs that happen with Saquon. 20, 30-yard runs that happen with regular backs against, single gap coverage. Saquon's taking it 60, 70 yards because he is that special playmaker. He is the X factor when it comes to it. And I think all hands on deck for the Chiefs to stop Saquon in this game.
It's a fascinating matchup. There's no doubt. And you guys are talking about just these elite rosters. When you go position by position, I'm hard-pressed not to say that the Eagles don't have better talent up and down besides 2 spots, quarterback and head coach. And how will that play into situational football? And, of course, we talk about Patrick Mahomes. He's 5-0 straight up and against the spread in neutral site games. And Andy Reid off a bye with Kansas City and Mahomes just in the playoffs, guys. 4-1 straight up. A lot of trends that point the Chiefs' way. You talk about this being a rematch of Super Bowl 57. Keep in mind, the Philadelphia Eagles scored 35 points in that game and lost. It's the most points any team has scored in a losing effort in the Super Bowl. But you go back to the things that win deep in the season and that win in the playoffs, and it's defense and an elite run game. That is exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles have. They got the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL, and both of you said it. Saquon Barkley, 2,000-yard rusher this season. He's turned it up in the postseason, breaking long touchdown runs after touchdown runs. He is simply unstoppable. And how about this? The Eagles are plus 15 in the turnover differential in their last 5 games. That recipe right there, elite defense, great run game, and kicking tail in the turnover battle, that could bode well for the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Sirianni versus Andy Reid, Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones versus Saquon Barkley. No wonder the line is so close. As mentioned, Chiefs a 1.5-point favorite right now over at BetOnline. The total 49 points. Guys, let's go ahead and break down where we think this is going to go. Anthony, the Chiefs are a short favorite. It seems like the public is going to be backing Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in a very familiar spot. Look, when they're favorites or underdogs less than 3 points, the Chiefs cover and they win at a very high clip. Which way you leaning in Super Bowl 59, Anthony?
Yeah, we've talked about the players and the schemes and how it's going to play out. Now let's talk about the 2 head coaches. I think Nick Sirianni has done a really good job with this football team. I give him a lot of credit for bringing in 2 established coordinators that, quite frankly, got him out of his comfort a little bit zone, because these guys can handle business on their side and let those guys do the work. And it's really paid off. I just think, for me, guys, when the money's out there and you got to lay it on a coach, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, I expect them to be very aggressive in this game. I think if you're thinking about how do you kind of negate Barkley, is put a little bit more pressure on their passing game. So I think that's where they're going to try to say, hey, let's aggressively try to score as much as we can. I mean, Clearly from a game plan standpoint, maybe it's just more, trickeration, things that they do to really create explosive plays. They do it as good as anyone. And then also on those early downs, if they can find a way to stop the run, which they've done, and Jonathan said in 18 straight playoff games, they've got it done against the run. Let Jalen Hurts try to win this game. Now, can he do it? I think he can. Consistently, though, putting on his back, can he do it 2 games in a row like he did in the NFC Championship when his number was called? He did. In the biggest one, though, I think Andy Reid's going to come up with a really good plan here. And if it's going to be close, I would say the 2 head coaches matter in this one. I'm going to lean on Kansas City here. I'm going to take them on the win easily by at least a field goal if it does happen, but a very close game. They may even have to make a drive at the end, and I'm not going to discount Mahomes or Andy Reid in that moment.
Yeah, I'm with you, Anthony. I'm just going to tell you right now in the beginning, I can't bet against the Chiefs because of what I've seen from Patrick Mahomes. I made a mistake last year and thought that the Bills would do it. And then I also thought that Baltimore was going to do it. I'm not making that mistake no more. So I'm just letting y'all know right away, I'm giving the Chiefs. I think the Philadelphia Eagles do have a chance. But the only way they do have a chance is if they blow them out. That's the only way. Yeah. Because if it's a close game and 15 has the ball, he's going to make the play. And the thing is, when it comes down to it, it's not about just Mahomes making a play, because yes, he does it with his legs, but most of the time it's through the air. And for some reason, Andy Reid's guys, they're always ready. We saw Samaje Perine last week do it. Samaje Perine, right? Like, I'm not to say we don't know who he is, but he's not one of the usual suspects that we would think. But that is the Kansas City Chiefs. That is why they have been dominant for so long. That's why you talk about the AFC, representing the AFC with those quarterbacks, with those teams, every single year, they're doing something right, and it's not always Mahomes. It is the other guys that are coming up with these timely plays. Karlaftis last week. What about the game he had? There's going to be a guy for the Kansas City Chiefs that makes a play that maybe didn't make a playoff postseason. Maybe didn't, play for halfway through the regular season. I'm telling you, this is the type of culture that they have. It starts with Mahomes, and it goes to Kelsey, it goes to Chris Jones, it goes to McDuffie, but there's going to be somebody on the Kansas City Chiefs that make a play. Now, on the other side of it, I'm all for the Philadelphia Eagles, because, for me, I like my players, I like my guys. I played for Spags, and I love Saquon Barkley. So for me, it's a win-win situation. I'm not leaning either way. I just can't bet against Mahomes. I can't do it. I'm not doing it no more until somebody prove otherwise. Now, if they can run the ball, and the Philadelphia Eagles, which I think they can, because it only takes Saquon, I got 20 carries for 60 yards. Those other 2 carries could be for 80 to 90 yards. Right. That's the type of guy he is. If the Chiefs can control him, I think they'll win. If they can't, it could get ugly for the Chiefs, and that's the only way the Philadelphia Eagles win. They will not win a close game against the Chiefs. But I do believe if you want some value here, the value's in the money line for the Philadelphia Eagles. If you don't like the Chiefs, then put some down on the money line for the Eagles, baby.
All right. Yeah. No, I mean, you guys are right on it. Anthony and Jonathan both laying 1.5 with the Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are inevitable. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. It's their 5th Super Bowl appearance in the last 6 years. As mentioned, this game in New Orleans in the Superdome. How about Patrick Mahomes? 14-1 straight up when playing in a dome, guys. It is simply incredible. And in the playoffs, Mahomes is 8-0 straight up and against the spread when listed as an underdog or a favorite, less than 3 points. That fits right into this bill with the Chiefs currently being a 1.5-point favorite right now over at BetOnline. However, yeah, I've got some statistics that some Philadelphia Eagles backers would love to hear. How about this one? The team with the better record going into the Super Bowl game has lost the last 12 of 14 Super Bowls, and they are on a 1-16 ATS skid since 2004. Also, underdogs in the Super Bowl are 13-4 against the spread in the last 17 years. The Eagles have the number 1 ranked defense. The Eagles are flying around. Saquon Barkley playing at an extremely high level. And I think the revenge factor here is being a little bit undervalued in the public eye. A lot of the same similarities from Super Bowl 57 are matching up in New Orleans for Super Bowl 59. Jonathan, I love what you said. If the Eagles have a chance to win, they have to put it away. Mahomes cannot have a chance late in the fourth quarter because that's when he does what we're so accustomed to the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes to count on doing. I don't think this is it. I think the Philadelphia Eagles here, guys, honestly, will outmatch and outplay the Kansas City Chiefs. I can't believe I'm doing it. I'm going against all common knowledge. I'm going to take the 1.5 points with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they win the football game, and it's led by that defense. It's led by Saquon Barkley in that run game, and they can force Patrick Mahomes to turn the ball over as he showed he could do in the first 7 weeks of the season. This could be the Eagles' time to finally slay the dragon and take care of business against the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. So I'm on the Eagles plus 1.5. Anthony and Jonathan taking the Chiefs minus 1.5. Quickly, guys, what do you think about the total here? It's at 49. We're going to get into some prop bets in just a second, but I'd love to get your thoughts because these are two great defenses. We come to think of the Chiefs as this high-flying, powered offense, but it's not been that way in 2024. Anthony, where are you leaning at on the total? I'll take the under 49.
Yeah, I'll take the under as well. I always feel like Super Bowls, there's a lot of anxiety to start the game. First quarter's always low. Someone starts getting hot into the second half, and I just think that's where the defenses kick in as well. So I'm going to go with the under.
Yeah, I'm going to go over here, but just by a slight margin. I'm thinking somewhere 24-27, something like that for both teams. You know, both of these defenses are really good, but their offenses, they're very efficient. They like to run the football. That's good for the red zone. I think these teams, you know, when they get down there, they figure out a way to make it happen and they get into the red zone. They get into the end zone whenever they're down there. And then you look at Philadelphia Eagles. They have an almost unstoppable play. Not almost. They have an unstoppable play. The Philadelphia would tush push, brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. Even if you stop it, like the Commanders did, last week, they got them to jump off sides 10 times in a row, and they were gonna get in there no matter what. Like for me, they just keep going, and with that being said, on the other side, you have Patrick Mahomes. I just don't think neither one of these teams are going to be low scoring, even with these defenses. They're going to figure out a way to matriculate the ball down the field. And because both teams can run the ball efficiently, they're going to be able to score some points.
All right, well, with such star power on both sides of the ball, let's take a look at the MVP odds board right now over at BetOnline. It's your usual suspects leading the way. Patrick Mahomes, plus 110 to be Super Bowl 59 MVP, followed closely by Saquon Barkley at plus 245. Jalen Hurts, the third favorite at plus 325. And then you go down the list, guys, Travis Kelce, A.J. Brown, Xavier Worthy, a bit longer shots. Anthony, I'm hard-pressed to think that if the Chiefs win the game, Patrick Mahomes isn't your MVP.
Yeah, you're right, but that's too easy, right? So I got to go with Travis Kelce, just because if he's leaned on enough and he can get near that 130 plus mark and maybe 2 scores, and he's the only productive offensive player outside of the quarterback numbers, they may throw him a bone with the whole Taylor Swift. You never know how people lean on it. So I'll go with that, man. Make yourself a nice penny on your bet on that one.
Look, I'm gonna go the other side. Remember, I don't really have a dog in this fight. I can't bet against the Chiefs, but we're talking about making a little money here, right, guys? That's what we're talking about. And if you want to gamble a little bit, I think Dallas Goedert. I think he can be a valuable option here, because if they, do a good job against Saquon, and he's the lost piece on offense. You know about AJ Brown, you know about Devontae Smith, you know about Jalen, with the groundwork, with passing the ball as well. But Dallas Goedert is leading these guys in receiving during the playoffs. And as we know from Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, that tight ends at this time of the year, they become a hot topic. They become real sexy, especially in the dome, right?
Yep.
If you want to make a nice little gamble, I think Dallas Goedert for the MVP out of nowhere. I mean, odds are probably insane, but sprinkle a little bit on that. You might get a nice return off of that.
That's a smart play. Kansas City's defense, one of the most vulnerable against tight ends throughout the 2024 season, so it could be a prime spot for that Dallas Goedert MVP play. I like that a lot, Jonathan. Okay, how about some props? Huge props menu available for you over at BetOnline. Look, my background. I'm a punter. I love special teams. This one jumped out to me. Either team to have a missed point after attempt, yes, pays plus 250. Eagles kicker Jake Elliott has missed 3 extra points just in the postseason alone. Harrison Butker missed some time this season as well with a left knee injury. He'll be playing on artificial turf. That could present some issues, so take it from me. Will there be a missed extra point? I say yes, plus 250 right now at BetOnline. And how about this one, guys? Will there be a safety? Yes, pays plus 900. No, minus 2,500. So you probably lean into the yes side here if you want to play it. There hasn't been a safety in 10 straight Super Bowls, but prior to that, guys, there was a safety in 3 straight Super Bowls. We saw some weird stuff happening in that divisional round game where the Chiefs took that slow safety, which really swung the line of minus 9.5 against the Texans in that Chiefs game. So that's a prop that I like. Will there be a safety? Yes, plus 900. A little extra tidbit here. Ron Tolbert, the head official for the Super Bowl 59. Patrick Mahomes 3-1 straight up and against the spread when Tolbert is the head official in the games. Well, it's Super Bowl 59. Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles this Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Again, Chiefs, your 1.5-point favorite. The total 49. Head on over to BetOnline right now. They got everything you need for the latest lines, news, and odds to get down with your Super Bowl action. It has been an absolute pleasure to be with everyone on this season of the Spin Sports Insiders. For my guys, Anthony Becht and Jonathan Casillas, thanks so much for joining us all season long. We can't wait to be back with you next season. Enjoy Super Bowl Sunday. I'm Drew Butler. Allie, we'll throw it back to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, fellas. You are plain and simply the best. Thank you so much for those Super Bowl picks, and of course, for everything all season long. So, mwah, to Drew Butler, mwah, to Anthony Becht, and to Jonathan Casillas. I'll see you soon for sure. And before I go, friends, another huge thank you to our friends at BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform and #1 source for everything football. And of course, I've got to tell you about BetOnline's $50,000 Super Bowl props pool. Just make your picks for each of the questions listed, including the tiebreaker. At the end of the big game, the players with the most points will win their share of $50,000. And the best part? Oh yeah, it is free. So don't miss out. Head on over today and get in on BetOnline's $50,000 Super Bowl props pool. They really have everything you need for the Super Bowl, my friends, so be sure, once again, to check them out at BetOnline. All right, well, enjoy the Super Bowl, my friends, and enjoy all the commercials as well. We'll catch you right here next time on Sports Insiders The Spin.